What's up guys, CJ from Team Millennium Ninja back with a brand new part 6 episode, and we're 20 episodes deep into part 6 now, kind of nearing the end. It's been a bit of a wild ride, so if you're interested at all in looking back at part 6, make sure to check out the compilations of the videos from my old channel that I made. They're in appeal right now, so they're unblocked for the time being. If you're new to the channel and haven't seen them, make sure to give those a watch. You can find them easily in the Lupin videos playlist. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel while you're at it. And with all that out of the way, let's get into today's episode, Two Terrible Ladies, which starts off with Lupin and Fujiko preparing for date night over video call. And I know it's early, but if I could just get off topic for a second, am I the only one who's uncomfortable with the amount of times they've shown Lupin typing with his feet in this part? It's just so weird, and I don't know why they keep having him do it. Aside from that though, the main point of this scene is to establish that Lupin's trying to hack into Invisible, which comes up as a plot point later on in the episode. After that, their preparations are interrupted by Fujiko's old friend Amelia, who just so happens to run into Fujiko at the store she's in, I guess, and asks her to do a job with her, which causes Fujiko to bail on her and Lupin's date night. Fujiko then takes a ride with Amelia in her car, saying that she doesn't want to take the job with her, citing past jobs that Amelia planned that never went well, and we even get a flashback to a specific job where they tried to infiltrate a large IT organization headed by a man named Grayson. And while the two initially succeed in infiltrating the building, it turns out that the room they're in is completely controlled by an advanced AI, which notifies Grayson and security about their breach, leading to the two ladies being busted. With Grayson recognizing Fujiko in particular, saying that he's always wanted to make her his property, and pulling out a brand with which to brand her, immediately establishing Grayson as the most unlikable character possible right off the bat. But the two manage to escape the situation, causing the brand to land on Grayson's face and taking us back to the present, where Amelia is able to convince Fujiko to accept the job. And now that we've covered the backstory, something that I want to talk about is Fujiko and Amelia's relationship. They have this kind of big sister, little sister dynamic to them, with Fujiko being more calm and experienced, and Amelia being more bombastic and naive, which I liked, but I felt the episode didn't do enough to really press Fujiko's annoyance with Amelia. I feel like they should have made it more over the top, having Fujiko not really want to have anything to do with Amelia more overtly, but the way they portray Fujiko in this episode, she just comes off as a mild tsundere more than anything else, especially when Amelia calls her out for having a thing for Lupin. And I would have liked for Fujiko to be less calm and patient when dealing with Amelia in this episode, giving Amelia more personality traits that contrast greater with Fujiko's, making Fujiko lose her cool around her. That would have been a more interesting way to present this dynamic to me, and would have probably made this line towards the end of the episode actually land rather than falling flat. Though we do get a nice little road trip montage with them, accompanied by a great insert song that I really enjoyed, and they end up spending a night in a hotel across the water from the island where they plan to do the job, which is infiltrating a religious organization known as the Church of Ion, run by a mysterious man who never appears in front of people in person, only addressing his followers over video call, to steal his necklace, which is supposedly worth several hundreds of millions of dollars. To this end, Amelia joined the church and approached Fujiko as a way to get to him in person, as it turns out that the leader has a proclivity for beautiful women. Though something I thought when she was explaining this at the diner was, first, why did diners and TV and movies always look so quaint? And the second was that as she was acting weird about eating her food, I thought she might have been brainwashed by the religious organization trying to lure Fujiko in, which, while not the most original idea, seemed interesting. And as it turns out, the religious organization leader is a man who likes to brand people. Sound familiar? That's right, it's Grayson from the earlier flashback, now complete with a brand where his eye used to be, looking like some discount blackjack. And as Fujiko and Amelia enter the church, he reveals himself to Fujiko, and it turns out that Amelia has betrayed her, making a deal with Grayson to bring him Fujiko in exchange for the necklace, which, while not exactly like my brainwashed idea, isn't far off the mark. And now Grayson prepares to do horrible, unspeakable things to Fujiko as revenge for branding his eye, and his super over-the-top Bond villain-esque torture chamber, no less. But it was actually a double betrayal, as Amelia returns to save Fujiko. As it turns out, she was actually abducted and sold through Grayson's human trafficking ring as a child, child and has been wanting to go after him for revenge. And as it turns out, Fujiko knew this as well, looking into her past after a strange reaction during the flashback job. Which brings up something I want to mention that I didn't really like about this episode, and that's Master Detective Fujiko over here. Seriously, she's able to deduce some crazy things from the most minute of details in this episode, like noticing this basically nothing of a reaction and looking into her history. And at the end of the episode, it turns out Amelia was pregnant the whole time, with the one clue in the whole episode being that scene at the diner where she was being weird about how she ate. A classic sign of pregnancy, of course. You know, what, did you not figure that out from that scene? Why not? Wasn't it obvious? What are you, stupid? Aside from that though, even with Amelia's betrayal, Grayson still has complete control of the entire room, nearly hitting her with a brand when Fujiko tells her to leave it to her, which, if you didn't know, is code for leave it to Lupin, as he ends up saving them from getting brand blasted at the very last second, tying together the A and B plots with Grayson being the owner of Invisible, the site Lupin has been trying to hack into, with Lupin taking control of the room and taking all of Grayson's money as well. Oh, and also taking his life, as for the first time in this part, I believe, Lupin has killed a man. But I also like how they put in this little line to dance around it. Oh, it wasn't me, your AI just forgot who it takes orders from and decided to enrapture you in a fucking fiery inferno. Gotta keep it TV-14, I guess. And the episode ends with a time skip to after Amelia's had her baby, with her and Fujiko spending time with it. And it's cute and all, but I don't care at all. Especially after the whole pregnancy plot thing came out of literally nowhere. Overall, I thought this episode was pretty mid. I really couldn't bring myself to care about Amelia. Even her interactions with Fujiko weren't all that entertaining, and the comedy in this episode didn't really land for me at all. The only time I ever really laughed in the episode was during the road trip, when this trucker was just absolutely flabbergasted at the idea of them being lesbians, apparently. But the biggest problem with this episode is that the drama didn't land for me either. I mean, Grayson's an effective villain. I hated him from the moment he's introduced, but you don't get that catharsis from seeing him taken down when the character that was supposed to care about most to elicit that reaction is Amelia, because this episode doesn't do enough to make you care about her that much. She's so downplayed that she's not endearing, and her dramatic backstory is told to us and we don't see any of it. But thank God we got that flashback to the middle of the night where Fujiko reveals everything. We needed that in this story. And the last thing I want to mention about this episode that I really did like was the Davy thing. Now, I didn't care when the baby did it at the end, but throughout the episode, I did like that they had a special code word that means leave everything to me. It really helps identify their bond and show how deep it is. The only problem with that is that they showed it too deep. They didn't show enough strain on their relationship to show how tenuous it really was and how they were trying to present it, which unfortunately makes this my least favorite Part 6 episode so far. Hopefully next week we can bounce back from the slump. Looks like Lupin and the crew are going to be investigating a mermaid mystery. I hope to see you guys there, and this has been CJ from Team Millennium Ninja, headed back to the village, hidden in the internet.